All right, so let's get into it. The first thing we're going to talk about is quarterback injuries. So, guys, this week, Drew Brees got hurt. Looks like he's going to be out 6 weeks. Teddy Bridgewater is going to come in for him. Also, we have Mason Rudolph, who's in for Ben Roethlisberger, who's going to be out for the season. So, let's start off with Jeremy. What do you think about these injuries and how does that impact fantasy football player owners?
So these injuries are kind of detrimental to a lot of these high-profile fantasy players. I mean, you drafted Michael Thomas as your number one wide receiver. You drafted Juju as your number one, or you drafted him at the turn. These are top 10 guys that are really taking a huge hit with their top quarterbacks going out. Now you have these backups that don't have all these reps that have played with these guys a lot. It's going to be interesting to see how these next few weeks, or actually the rest of the season goes. One thing that I would really keep an eye out for is Mason Rudolph. This is his second year with the system, and they drafted him in the third. They drafted him in the third round last year, and they're really expecting this kid to essentially be their new franchise quarterback. So that's one thing to keep an eye on for, is see how they use him out there and see how he clicks with that offense. Mike, what's your take on this?
Well, the big thing with me is that they're going to be changing their entire offensive scheme, especially in New Orleans, because Teddy Bridgewater is a more mobile-style quarterback. So we're talking about Cam Newton and Dak Prescott versus more of a Tom Brady or even a Baker Mayfield. So that's going to take Alvin Kamara out of it. So he's going to start losing reps because of the mobile style quarterback. And now you're going to be looking at dump offs. So probably you're looking at your tight end getting more reps.
Well, wouldn't you consider Alvin Kamara as maybe one of the dump off valves? I mean, he's one of the most athletic guys in the game.
That's always that possibility. But if the play's going one way and Kamara's going the other, you don't throw it back across the field. So that's why Alvin Kamara is going to start losing some reps, and maybe he'll get a dump off or two. But I see his points going down. In Pittsburgh, actually, I kind of like Mason Rudolph because they were going to groom him to take over anyways, just like you said, be his quarterback. He's going to have a tough matchup against the 49ers in their defense this week, but that's just going to be one of those growing things. If he can take a couple of hits or even win that game, he's got nothing to do but grow.
My take on it, guys, really quick. Here's my thing. I think that Mason Rudolph, like you said, he's been groomed for the job anyway. It's not like they're going to have to change the whole playbook because he's learning the playbook already, and he already looked good in the preseason. So he knows the plays. He's probably going to have to start over from scratch. With Teddy Bridgewater, they're going to have to change things up a bit. But I don't think that Teddy's going to run as often as we might think he does, especially after getting injured. I think he's going to sit in the pocket a little bit. Plus, he has weapons. It's nice to be able to have an Alvin Kamara to throw the ball, just dump the ball off, and he can get you 30 yards on the play. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. Who do you guys think would be the better pickup waiver-wise, Teddy Bridgewater or Mason Rudolph? Let's start off with Mike.
Oh, I like Rudolph. It might be a couple of rocky first 2 weeks, but he'll get a hold of the system, get in with those first team reps, and he'll get better.
So what about next – well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. What about next week? This upcoming week, who do you think would be a better quarterback to pick up for this upcoming week if you're a fantasy owner who's got, Drew Brees hurt or Ben Roethlisberger hurt? Who do you pick up out of those two?
In those terms, I would go ahead and take Bridgewater, only because of the matchups. They're going up against the Seahawks, and they're not as good as a secondary as they used to be. There's no more Legion of Boom out there in Seattle. The Niners are a very, very solid defense, and they have been getting a lot of big hits and keeping teams away from the red zone, and that's something that Mason Rudolph is needing to do, is get the short field to get points on the board.
I think I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with you. And I might even take it a little bit further. If I have Drew Brees as my quarterback, or if I have Ben Roethlisberger as my number one quarterback, he goes down, I don't have a backup option, I'm probably going to go ahead and grab Teddy Bridgewater. He's got a really good next couple games coming up. He's got Seattle this week. He has Dallas's revamped defense next week, but after that, he's got Tampa Bay. And there's a lot more weapons, I believe, in New Orleans than there is in Pittsburgh. And I think New Orleans has more of a, I think they have more of a drive, and they have more of the opportunity to make a deep playoff run, whereas the 0-2 Pittsburgh Steelers, we don't know if maybe they're getting ready to go into Miami Dolphin mode. That's left to be seen.